Tomorrow, the day every driver dreams about, a chance to win the Daytona 500. Our coverage begins with the Bank of America Countdown to Green at 1:30 Eastern Time on NBC. Never forget it, do you, BP?
Oh, no. Oh, no, not the Daytona 500. By far the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my racing career.
Field coming to get the green flag. Pace car will head for pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. Coming around a complete lap, 53 of 120, the Hershey's Kissables 300.
Denny Hamlin in that second place in that 20 car in second spot. Matt, you have something?
Well, VP, a lot of conversation back and forth whether to stay out like a lot of cars did, or pit like several others, including his teammate J.J. Yaley, but they felt like the track position was more important. The car, not bad, but still a little on the free side.
I didn't realize until last week when Hamlin won the Budweiser shootout how close he and Junior have become. He came down here a couple of years ago and stayed with Junior and his coach. Didn't have a ride, just came down as a spectator at the invitation of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I remember Junior talking about him a while back, about his ability and about how far he thought he could go in NASCAR racing. Check in with Dave.
Caught up with Joe Nemechek in the garage area now. Joe, your accident happened well behind the initial accident. What went on back there?
You know, everybody was in a big group. I finally got brakes back on my car, and we were going back to the front. The car was just a shame. I mean, this number 87 car, Denver Mattress Company came on board, and it was fast, but at first something come up off the track and broke the left front brake line early, so we didn't have brakes. I just had rear brakes. We finally got a right front brake, and we didn't quite have enough time to get the left front hooked up there. And, I mean, everybody just started checking up, and it was one of those accordion deals. It's just a shame we're out so early.
That's a double disappointment for Joe. One, it's Daytona. Secondly, they're trying to attract sponsorship for this car. They had to let half their staff go over the winter, and are just trying to make a few races to get somebody on the side panel so they can hire a few more back.
Thanks, Dave. Now watch the very top of the screen here.
Right there. Right there.
And it looked like there were a couple other cars in front of that. David Green got some front end damage from running into somebody there as well. And there's Paul Tracy. That's just a moment ago.
Yeah, you know, when you bust up the front of the car like he did, I'm sure that car is not handling very well. Doesn't have the downforce it needs, and probably went in the corner, pushed up the racetrack, got into the wall.
No downforce to help the car turn, so up the racetrack it goes.
He has been black flagged by NASCAR. Does not obviously have much experience in these cars, certainly not on this track, but has shown his talents before, and he knows that it's going to be a battle learning to drive these cars. So Tracy goes to pit road. We go to the front of the field. Earnhardt Jr.
Here's a challenge. I thought Hamlin was going to look on the inside. Here is a challenge by the 5 car of Kyle Busch.
These are cars that did not pit, Alan.
Kyle Busch told me before the race, Bill, to look for he and his Hendrick Motorsports teammate Brian Vickers to work together. The 5 and 57 cars. They're now together near the front of the field. Kyle just came on the radio and said, together we're fast. Watch to see if they can draft up to the front. Marty?
Alan, look out for Casey Kane, who said his car is extremely fast. He said, I know one thing is for sure. They're beating the heck out of my bumper, getting pushed up through the field right now.
Yeah, that's a pretty tight line right there.
Man, is it ever.
Out of turn 2 and down the backstretch.
That outside line should pick up. Kyle Busch doesn't have much help down there on the bottom right now, the 5 car.
Some different race strategies playing out here. Top 13 cars did not pit under the last caution. We have seen some tire issues here today.
Boy, I'm hearing a lot of lifting off that throttle, BP.
I think Biffle was trying to figure out if the 5 car was going to come up the racetrack or if he could stick it in there. He decided wisely to back off and let the 5 car have some racetrack.
That's experience.
Yes.
On board with Kyle Busch. Biffle, Harvick in the 29. Harvick will run 3 different numbers, 3 different cars in the first 3 races of this year. Got a very aggressive schedule in 2006.
Looks like a 3-wide move. Yep. Casey Kane's at the bottom. Harvick goes with him. Jeff Burton goes with Harvick.
And Denny Hamlin gets left in the middle. Comes Jeff Burton. How about McMurray, Marty?
Well, for a guy who was bad mouthing his car before this race started, McMurray's awfully fast, up in the 2nd position. And again, following his buddy Dale Earnhardt Jr., they've worked awfully well together today. He said the car is still a little bit tight, and the last adjustment did not help as much as he thought it would, so they planned further adjustments to loosen up that 64 car.
Tony Sauter has returned to the race. He scored 30 laps down. Trying to get as many points as possible.
Goes Hamlin to the bottom to make it 3 wide. Puts Burton back a spot or 2. J.J. Yeley in the 18 is going to try to close that gap.
There's McMurray stuck in the middle. Burton's going to try and come up and help him. Leading lap 61 past the halfway mark here in the Hershey Kissables 300.
Trying to get to the bottom, McMurray is. He didn't want to be in the middle for very long.
Heard a report that the 21 of Jeff Burton might be pushing some water.
That's the car that on board a moment ago, that down in the corner we saw the big spot of water.
That was Harvick.
That is a bump draft. Junior sounded like he's getting out of the throttle a little bit too, VP. I think, you know, this track is so hot and greasy.
And look what happens when he backed off the throttle just a little bit. They just drove by him. Oh, I'm sorry, he's up front still. Who's that one?
Harvick. That was Harvick.
Yeah. Okay.
Harvick is the Hershey's Kissables and Earnhardt is the Oreos.
Okay. All right, here comes that 9 of Casey Kane on the outside. He is fast.
Got a run. Got a good run right now.
Look at that 8 car all by itself.
Ooh, Biffle popping the bumper.
Kane moves down in front of Earnhardt. McMurray in the 64, Biffle in the high groove.
Oh, Biffle's up there.
He is up there. When you said high groove, you are not exaggerating, Bill.
No man's land up there, isn't it?
It is. Weber, I thought that the 9 car was going to lead that lap, but Biffle comes back.
You like the aerodynamic package on these cars, don't you, Benny?
Oh, I love it because these guys can pass much more easily than can the Cup cars, especially for the lead. The Cup cars can pass back in the pack, but for the lead, it's a struggle.
This field has also managed to spread itself out significantly. Biffle leads, Kane second, McMurray third in the 64. Earnhardt Jr. in the 8.
And McMurray just drives down to get in front of that 8 car and hope he can get the push from him that he needs to go to the front.
Looking back off Biffle's bumper. Talked about how some of these guys at the front of the field did not pit last time. Earnhardt was one of them. He last pitted on lap 33. That's 30 laps ago.